Hey, it's Michael Harrison, and you are watching Comedy Matters TV with the legendary Jeffrey Gurian.
Hey everybody, it's Jeffrey Gurian here for Comedy Matters TV, and I'm here with Michael Harrison, who has some very exciting news. He was just accepted to JFL, the 40th anniversary of JFL, to pitch a new show based on your podcast, right? Called Character Debates. Is that right, Michael?
That's right. I'm really excited about it. Thanks so much for having me on, Jeff.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it's a really big deal. First of all, this is going to be a huge year. You know, I've been going for more than 30, believe it or not, for more than 30.
Oh, are you going this year?
Yeah, I'm going. They think that I might be the longest attendee, and it's going to be a very special year. I mean, an anniversary year. Any year is special up there, but because they haven't done it for 2 years because of the pandemic, this is fantastic. So to be part of that, I really commend you. Tell me a little bit, for our viewers who may not be familiar with you, tell me a little bit about your history. I think you've been performing for around 14 years now, right?
Yeah, I'm a stand-up comedian. I started in Saskatchewan. I was born in Regina, which is the actual name, and I was raised in, I don't know, every time I talk to an American and they hear me say Regina, they either say, yeah, I was born there too, or they just think I'm an idiot and they're like, you don't know how to pronounce Virginia. So it is pronounced Regina. So I'm from Regina, Saskatchewan. I started doing stand-up in Saskatoon, and then I got a half-hour comedy special in Canada. I got Just for Laughs, Homegrown, New Faces. I got a few TV parts, and that's when I immigrated to America. And I got a green card, and then I came over here, and yeah, from here I got a few extra TV spots. I put out an album. I have a dry bar special coming out next month, and one of my shorts got nominated for funniest shorts at Just for Laughs last year. And yeah, other than that, now I have this podcast that I'm really excited about, where I make comedians debating character. Oh, and then I became an American citizen earlier this month.
Yeah, that's huge. That's absolutely huge. Congratulations on that. You know, people have no idea what it takes to become well known as a comedian, and how hard you have to grind, and all the things you have to do. It's really amazing. I think people, most of the world thinks you just get up on stage and say something funny, and the next thing you know, everybody knows you. You know, like, and have you had the experience where people say, "Oh, you should see my friend. He's so funny. You know, you should use this bit for your act." Does that ever happen to you? People.
Oh yeah, just people always trying to give me a racist joke. They're like jokes that they would never say. You know, like they always choose those jokes as the ones they want to pass on to me. Like the ones where they're looking over their shoulder and like, you should say this on stage. And I'm like, why? Yeah, that's horrible.
Exactly. Or else they say, my friend is so funny, he should really be on your show. And I try to tell them, you know, there's a big difference between being funny with your friends and being funny on stage. Just because you can entertain your friends with stories doesn't translate to the stage. You have to have something. No one cares about what happened to you at the office. You know.
Yeah. Do you ever have that moment where it's like a person off stage, they come up to you and they're like, yeah, everyone thinks I'm funny, and you're like, well, I don't. Yeah. Wow, mark me up for the first person that doesn't think you're that funny.
It's really weird that people just think that they can just get up on stage and be funny. And people ask all the time, can I do your show? Like if I'm producing a show, and they have no credits. It happened to me a couple of days ago. This girl is like, oh, yeah, a well-known person from the Hamptons said to me, oh, everyone always says that I'm so funny. And I'm like, if I do a show, it's got to be only people with a lot of experience. I said, maybe you should try an open mic first before you volunteer to come on a very professional show. Never even done an open mic, but she wanted to be the opening act for a big show. So tell me about Character Debates. How'd you come up with the idea? And like, how do you get comedians to be in character? What if they don't do characters? Not everybody does a character. So explain the concept.
Okay. Well, the idea is obviously I come up with an idea. So for instance, the next episode, we got Matthew McConaughey on, and he's going up against Yosemite Sam, and they're going to argue on should Hollywood ban guns, you know? So basically an issue that's happening. Then I have two comedians play both of them, right? One play Matthew McConaughey, one play Yosemite Sam, and I have someone judge it, you know? And in this case, we had a bloodthirsty Quentin Tarantino style action executive. So he judged it. And he's on the border on whether guns should be banned or not, or if it should just be slasher films from now on. And so he created a ridiculous topic. And then I researched tons of facts, and I present them obviously in silly, funny ways. And from there, they argue about it. And the beauty of it is, like, I wanted to create a debate show, but I want to do it in a way where comedians could say whatever they want. You know, there's so many type of like arguing shows where comedians sort of hold their punches or they say what's politically correct. No, in this, I tell you what your side is, and then you decide, you fight that side however which way you want. So it's like we had Baby Hitler on before. He debated with Doc Brown on should time travel exist, you know? And the funny thing is that turned into a great debate just based on the fact that, like, you know, Doc Brown turned out to be very similar to Hitler in the fact that he wanted to create his future the way he wanted it to. So it's like you find these funny comedy parallels.
Everyone always says if they could go back in time, what would they do? They would kill baby Hitler, of course.
Yeah, so I mean, that's his take too. He's like, I'm just a baby. I don't understand why all these men in the future, they're so into infanticide. You know, they tried to kill me. I must be a very good artist, right? And well, it's, sorry.
No, that's okay, but it brings up a lot of questions to me. It sounds like that you have to do a lot of research on the part of the comedians who were playing these parts. Like the guy that you chose to play Matthew McConaughey. First of all, is there a video aspect or is it just audio?
Well, that's the thing. We can't do a visual element. So just because, like, I'd have to get costumes every time. And, like,
that's
for instance, Jeff, where would I go to get a baby Hitler costume and not get side-eye? Do you know anywhere where that would be even?
That's what I was wondering. So it's strictly audio. So does the person try and imitate Matthew McConaughey's voice, or is he just, he does it to the best of his ability? Do you only get impressionists?
Nope. No, I get comedians. So basically I have two cast members on my show. I have Drew Dunn, who's amazing at voices. So he did Matthew McConaughey. And then I have Jake Vevera, who, by the way, both hilarious comedians and absolutely the reason why this is becoming so successful. They're so funny.
Are they both from Canada?
No, they're both stand-up comedians in New York, but one's from Iowa, one's from New Hampshire.
Oh, I wish we had them here today. I would have spoken to all of you. But yeah. Okay, we can always do that. But that's very interesting because I was wondering if you're gonna do an impression of a celebrity, it helps if you could do the voice.
I know, 100%. So, they do it. Actually, Jake has a very limited vocal range. He's a very raspy guy, but he pulled out an amazing Elon Musk. He's pulled out an amazing Johnny Depp. Dr. Phil's easy. He could do Dr. Phil, but he's completely surprising me a lot of times with sort of his choices. And I have to admit, they're both really good, but they're also both really funny. Drew's insanely amazing at voices and character work. And Jake is, he's also like, he knows how to spin a yarn. You ask him a thing, in character, he has an imagination that seems to keep rolling and creating new vibrant things. Like, for instance, we do a lot of satire. We did one episode where we did the red M&M versus a candy racist on should candy be political. And we had Jake be Violet, one of the original M&Ms, and he had to judge as Violet. You know, so this M&M, the Violet M&M, was like removed after 8 years and rechanged with tan. So Jake came in like a starlet, and he's like, "Let me tell you, back in the days, I tell you, I used to be the Circle and Target back when they did Redface. You know, Howard Hughes, he was a perv. He did a lot of touching of the candy, and he would just spin this weird yarn into how much of a perv Howard Hughes was." But it was like, it's genius, some of the riffing that he does. So they're both very talented. I'm very lucky to have them. Then I have a guest comedian play one of, sorry.
Wait, excuse me. And how did you meet these guys?
Well, funny enough, what is it? Drew opened for me when I headlined Governors out in Long Island. and he's just so funny, very phenomenal guy. You can see him at the stand on a lot of nights. He's over there all the time. Yeah, so he was working. I knew from him there. So he called me up saying, "Oh, I'm moving to New York from Boston. I'm looking for a place right now, but did you want to go for lunch?" And we went for lunch. I told him about how I pitched this idea for basically a debate show to True TV, and how they wanted me to make it. I didn't know how to do it, and I was like, maybe I could do it as a podcast. You do a lot of voices. Would you be interested in doing this podcast or make comedians debating character? And Drew's like, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, okay, crazy. Now I have to do it. So he left for like a month and a half. And that gave me enough time to basically, first off, look for podcast equipment, which Jake had, and Jake lived close by to me. So I reached out to Jake and I was like, hey, can I practice this podcast idea at your place? And maybe you could even be on it. You know, like I didn't have him in mind at all.
Well, where do you do it from? From an apartment in the city?
Yeah, in Astoria. Jake works with Sirius, so he has all the best stuff, and he's like a professional producer, right? An editor. So all things I didn't even know about, like such a weird stroke of luck.
Yeah, it just came together perfectly.
It's like those are the best projects. It's like when you accidentally everything, like the world just all the stars align, you know? And that's what this really felt like.
When you find your true path, the universe will support you in it. So that's very interesting that you were able to bring together just the right two guys. And
Well, not Jeff. I didn't even know at this point. It was such a fluke, but you said it so perfectly. And I love how you put that out. I'm actually going to rewatch this just so I could take that. But yeah, like no lie to you, I had no clue Jake had any improv ability, but I was like, oh, okay, our first episode is going to be Santa versus Easter Bunny on what's the best holiday. I brought in a few other comedians, told them they're the Easter Bunny, and I was like, I'm going to play with this. Jake just started killing them. He was just hilarious. And I was like, holy crap, you should be on the show, you know? And then the minute that Drew moved, like the month later, and we organized a date, he'd never met Jake. So the first time they meet is our first episode of the podcast, where Drew is playing the Easter Bunny, Jake's doing Santa, and the idea is I write all these questions and research, but I don't tell them. So they don't know what I'm going to ask them. It's all improvised off their head. They just know their arguments.
So it's not scripted. Well,
no.
It's scripted on you host the show, right? So yeah. You introduce the concept that you're going to be talking about, and then you let them riff on it.
Yep.
But their part is completely unscripted. It's all ad-libbed.
Completely. And then I have a guest comedian. And mostly the guest comedian's one of the debaters, and Jake plays the judge, and Drew's the other debater.
But what does the guest comedian do?
Well, usually he'll be the debater, right? One of the debaters, and he'll go up against Drew, and then Jake plays the judge who's also in character. But in that first episode, Jake played the debater. He played Santa, and then Drew played Easter Bunny. And I'm not lying. It's like you said with the universe. Their chemistry was unreal. I couldn't believe how good they were together and how we all worked well, and all this stuff they were coming up with, and they were committing to their characters very easily and their arguments.
If I understood you correctly, at the end of the debate, there's a judge who tells you who won.
Yep. And
the judge is a comedian.
Yep.
Okay. So what happens if you want a comedian on your show, but they can't do impressions? Then they can't be on, right?
Well, normally I cast so that they don't have to. Like, unless, do you know John Marco Cerezi?
Yes, yeah.
So he doesn't play Jeff Goldblum. So I knew that ahead of time. So he came on my show as Jeff Goldblum and went up against Matt Damon on our comic book Films Ruining Cinema. So that's a rarity where I know ahead of time that I'm casting this comedian because of a certain thing he's good at. But most of the times I try to pick something their voice can do or something where they don't have to do a voice. So for instance, Jason Salmon, who came on and played the candy racist up against the Red M&M. Drew played the Red M&M. I was like, Jason can be the candy racist. But it was Jason's choice to do it in a British accent. You know, he didn't have to, but I had him picked to you could just do your voice, whatever, right?
No, I know them both. Jean Marco actually reminds me of Jeff Goldblum. So I think that was a good casting. We've done
Of course.
We've done many shows together. So how are you going to pitch this? Where do you see it going? You want it to be a television show with a visual aspect to it?
Yep. Basically, that's what we're pitching, is that it's going to be a TV show, and it's the type of thing where we could do satirical stuff really quickly. Our last episode was an abortion episode where we had a trans-curious man go up against a Florida mom on should men control women's bodies, right? And the Florida mom believed that, women should just stay in the kitchen and please men, and the trans-curious guy is scared to transition to a woman because he thinks women have it so bad, right? So it was a really interesting argument. And then, of course, I'm asking the silliest questions where they have to, use whatever improv logic, but stay committed to their feelings and their arguments. Kyle Ocasio played the Florida mom. Unreal. She's so funny. So good in the episode. But yeah, basically, ahead of time, all they get is, this is your character. This will be your argument. They could think of their opening statement, but after that, the questions, they don't know what's coming. So for the TV show, the only difference is we were going to do the exact same thing, where I'll do a comedic monologue off the top. I will introduce each debater. And then after that, throw questions at them. But then we're going to have the audience cross-examine them with questions, make it very live and improvised, and follow that up with, the judge's opinion on who wins the whole match.
So I've been to some of the pitches in the past. Are you preparing a video to pitch, or are you just going to do it orally? Because there's a lot of competition for this, by the way. I'm sure you know that.
Yep, 100%. Just for Laughs told me not to make a video.
Oh, really? So they just want an oral presentation. And will the other two guys be there with you?
Yeah, but it's just going to be me and Drew doing. They said they couldn't have more than 2 on stage. So they're doing it Shark Tank style. There's going to be 5 executives on the stage. We're performing in front of an audience, and then we pitch. So my mom's going to watch me pitch. She's going to be there.
Awesome. Have you any idea who the executives are? Do they tell you in advance, or they don't?
Yep. They released it. So it's going to be an executive from ABC, Paramount, BET, HBO, and I believe a production company called Project 10.
That's really great. It's a wonderful opportunity, man. It's really something special. And, when you get something like this, it's a testament to the amount of hard work that people do. Like I said, people have no idea how hard it is to create something.
Yeah.
I know I've created a bunch of stuff, and it's a lot of work. So I really commend you, and I wish you lots of luck. And I hope I'm going to be there for your pitch, because I'm going to be up there. I'll be covering the festival. I always cover the award show especially, but I'll be doing interviews during the whole festival. Well, actually, for the last several days. I'll go up on the 27th. What day is your pitch?
July 29th.
29th. I will be there. So
Awesome.
I look forward to seeing you. I wish you the best of luck. And I thank you so much for coming on Comedy Matters TV. It's great to have you, and I have a good feeling about your show. So,
Jeff, you're the best. Thank you so much, and I'm really excited to see you there. And for anyone watching this, check it out. Check out the podcast. It's called Character Debates. One of our last episodes was Aladdin versus Genie on our 3 Wishes Enough. And we have a lot of other crazy titles, but definitely check it out. Thank you so much for having me on.
You're very welcome. And tell people where they can find you. Do you have a website?
Oh, yeah. Actually, I just took it down because I'm redoing it, but you can find me on Instagram at Michael Harrison Comedian, and then Twitter at Mike H Comedy.
I wish you the best of luck, and I'll see you in Montreal. Hey guys, thanks for watching Comedy Matters TV. To check out some of our other videos, click on the boxes on either side of me. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Not just for me, but for my parents.